You know, when we think of ancient cities, we picture grand marble temples, right? But for most people, daily life was a constant battle with mud and dust. Now, just look around you today. The paved roads we take for granted are the literal foundation of our world. They're this silent, essential network that connects absolutely everything. So today, we're going to trace the incredible story of how these cemented paths became the very arteries of modern civilization. Okay, so let's jump right in with a question. What on earth could possibly connect the marching sandals of a Roman legionary to the tires of a family station wagon on a summer road trip? The answer you'll see is way more profound than you might think. It all comes down to this: a shared ambition to pave an entire continent. You've got two different empires, separated by 2,000 years, but they both understood a fundamental truth. If you want to control, connect, and grow, you need roads. And not just dirt paths, no way. You need engineered, durable highways that can carry an army, a merchant, or a whole economy forward. So let's start with the original masters, the Roman blueprint. See, for them, this wasn't just about getting from point A to point B. It was about projecting power and creating a truly connected empire with what was, by far, the most advanced road system of the ancient world. And what's just wild is the sheer engineering brilliance they had. This wasn't just throwing some rocks in the mud. A Roman road was a layered, high-tech marvel for its time. They'd dig this deep trench, lay a solid foundation of big stones, add a layer of gravel mixed with lime, then a layer of concrete, and then, for the final touch, top it with massive, tightly fitted paving stones. They even crowned the road, giving it a slight arch so rainwater would just run right off into ditches. I mean, these roads weren't just built to be used, they were built to last for centuries. And it didn't stop with the road itself. The Romans built an entire ecosystem around their network. You had relay stations, so official messengers could get fresh horses and keep moving. There were rest houses for travelers, and they put stone milestones marking every single Roman mile. This whole system supported trade, communication, and of course, the lightning-fast movement of their legions, with all roads leading, quite literally, from the Golden Milestone in Rome, the symbolic heart of the whole empire. Okay, now let's hit the fast-forward button about 2 millennia. A new republic, the United States, is facing a very similar challenge. How do you connect a vast, sprawling continent? This is where an American vision was born, a vision inspired by that same ancient ambition, but driven by modern necessity. And the guy who really championed this vision was Dwight D. Eisenhower. His experience on a military convoy across the U.S. way back in 1919 was, to put it mildly, just awful. He described the roads as nothing but a succession of dust, ruts, pits, and holes. Later, seeing Germany's Autobahn during World War II totally sealed the deal for him. He knew America desperately needed a modern highway system, both for national defense and for economic growth. So in 1956, President Eisenhower signed this landmark act into law. And here's the crucial part: the sheer scale of the commitment. The federal government put up 90% of the cost for a 41,000-mile system of high-speed freeways. This was a nation-building project on a truly Roman scale. And that brings us to the actual construction, paving a nation. Honestly, the numbers behind this project are absolutely mind-boggling. This was, and you could argue it still is, the single greatest public works project in American history. First up, let's talk money. The initial estimate was about $25 billion over 12 years. The final price tag for just the original system? A whopping $114 billion. To put that in perspective, that's over $600 billion in today's money. And what about the length? Well, that initial 41,000-mile plan has grown to nearly 49,000 miles of highway today. That is enough asphalt and concrete to circle the entire Earth, almost twice. Just think about that. And this wasn't some weekend project, not even close. We're talking about a 35-year marathon of continuous work, from the very first contract signed in 1956 until the final iconic piece of the puzzle was put in place in 1992. This timeline here kind of walks us through some of the big moments. You've got the act being signed in 56, then Nebraska being the first state to finish its part in 74. A huge milestone was in 1986 when I-80 finally connected the Atlantic all the way to the Pacific, and the whole thing was declared complete with the opening of a true engineering marvel, that incredible section of I-70 through Glenwood Canyon, Colorado. But a project this massive was bound to have massive consequences, and the legacy of the interstate system is, well, it's complicated. It's a real double-edged sword that brought both incredible progress and some deep, lasting scars to the nation. This slide really lays out that stark contrast perfectly. On one hand, the promise was fulfilled. The trucking industry exploded, shipping costs plummeted, suburbs boomed, and the economy soared. But the price, wow, the price was immense. The construction displaced over 1 million people. It literally shattered vibrant urban neighborhoods, and it often created physical barriers that ended up reinforcing racial segregation. And while some towns thrived, others that were bypassed by the new freeways, they just withered away. And it's so important to understand that the routes they chose were often not accidental. In many, many cities, these highways were deliberately routed right through minority neighborhoods where, the land was cheapest and the residents had the least political power. They became these giant concrete walls, isolating communities and destroying the social fabric, in a process that some critics grimly call urban renewal. So where does all this leave us? What is the enduring legacy of these monumental projects? How do these paths, both ancient and modern, continue to define the world we live in today? Here's something that's just fascinating, this incredible echo through history. If you travel in Europe, you can still find modern highways that are built directly on top of or right alongside the original routes laid down by Roman engineers 2,000 years ago. In exactly the same way, the interstate system has become the permanent framework for American commerce, travel, and our daily lives. At the end of the day, it all brings us back to this core idea. From the stone-paved Via Appia to the concrete ribbons of I-80, these roads do so much more than just carry traffic. They carry civilization itself. They connect our communities, they sustain our economies, and they fundamentally shape the way we all live. And so, I'll leave you with one final thought. These incredible networks of asphalt and concrete definitely succeeded in connecting a nation from coast to coast. But it's worth asking ourselves, in the process of connecting all of us, what and who did they divide?